At approximately 50 minutes, our respawn system began working against us. Every time one of our operators was eliminated, the time required to return became longer. Battlefield. As respawn times remained mostly consistent. Their soldiers could die, return to headquarters, enter a vehicle, and rejoin the battle at a predictable rate. Our missing operators stayed gone for longer periods. That gave the battlefield forces opportunities to push forward before our squads had returned to full strength. We began relying on additional points and flare gun redeployments to bring teammates back more quickly. But every redeployment cost resources, cash that could have been spent on killstreaks, armor, ammunition, or loadouts was instead used to restore our squads. Some teams refused to spend the money. They held their positions with fewer soldiers while waiting for their teammates to return naturally. Others completed more contracts, hoping to recover the money they had lost. The problem was that killing battlefield soldiers did not give us enough resources to maintain the war. A successful firefight did not replace our armor plates. It did not replace our ammunition. It did not restore our kill streaks. It did not bring our teammates back. We were winning the kill count, but the war was becoming increasingly expensive. Some operators began taking equipment from fallen teammates. Weapons, cash, ammunition, armor, and gadgets were collected from the bodies of our own soldiers to keep the surviving squad members operational. It was not betrayal, it was survival. At that point, the effect remained minimal. The map still contained contracts, supply boxes, care packages, buy stations, and ammunition reserves. But the resources were no longer infinite. Every airstrike we used was one fewer airstrike available later. Every armor plate destroyed by an engineer had to be replaced. Every loadout camper forced us to spend more time and lives recovering equipment. The first hour had not ended, and we were already being forced to think about what we could afford to lose. After 1 hour, battlefields still ruled most of the airspace. Their jets controlled the skies. Their helicopters supported infantry assaults. Their tanks roamed the streets and forced us to remain inside buildings, alleys, bunkers, and underground passages. Some of our squads responded with a dangerous strategy. They began attacking the battlefield headquarters. Operators used their map knowledge and movement to slip behind enemy lines. They positioned themselves near vehicle routes and spawn exits. When battlefield soldiers returned to the map, our hidden squads opened fire. The spawn attacks generated large numbers of kills. For several minutes, entire sections of the battlefield advance were delayed, but the enemy adjusted. They changed deployment routes, sent soldiers to clear their headquarters, and used vehicles to destroy the buildings where our operators had been hiding. The strategy bought us time. It did not stop their advance. Returning to the battlefield had become increasingly dangerous. Battlefield infantry began shooting our operators while they parachuted toward the ground. Machine gunners fired into the sky. Vehicle crews aimed mounted weapons upward. Helicopters intercepted us before we could reach our chosen landing zones. To survive, we had to cut our parachutes and descend more quickly. That destroyed the precision of our redeployments. Operators who intended to land on rooftops fell into exposed streets. Squads were separated across several buildings. Some soldiers landed directly beside battlefield vehicles. The enemy understood that we were most vulnerable before our feet touched the ground. They exploited it relentlessly. The waterways had mostly fallen under battlefield control. We were faster in the water, and we could fire our weapons while submerged. That allowed some of our operators to ambush soldiers near bridges, docks, and shoreline. But battlefield possessed more firepower. Their boats, aircraft, vehicles, and shoreline infantry prevented us from taking complete control. We contested the water. They occupied it. Other Warzone squads moved underground. They entered bunkers searching for specialized weapons, perks, equipment, and killstreaks. Transport aircraft crossed the battlefield and dropped juggernaut packages into selected areas. When those packages landed, heavily armored Warzone operators emerged with enough firepower to temporarily halt entire infantry pushes. The juggernauts became moving strongpoints, but even they could not withstand concentrated tank shells, rockets, aircraft, and explosives forever. Battlefield troops began camping our loadout drops. They knew we depended on those crates to reach full combat effectiveness. Snipers watched them from distant rooftops. Engineers placed explosives nearby. Machine gunners waited inside surrounding buildings. Some operators reached their loadouts and were killed before they could move. Others never reached the crates at all. At the same time, battlefield aircraft began directly supporting the ground assault. Jets and helicopters attacked our semi-fortified objectives. They destroyed rooftops, exposed interior rooms, and eliminated defensive positions before battlefield infantry arrived. We used rocket launchers and sniper rifles to fight back. Some of our marksmen shot pilots through helicopter and jet cockpits. Other squads launched coordinated rockets into approaching aircraft. We destroyed several of them, but the sky remained under battlefield control. At approximately 70 to 80 minutes into the battle, our semi-fortified objectives began falling. Battlefield vehicles attacked first. Tanks destroyed defensive walls. Helicopters fired into upper floors. Jets struck exposed positions. Then the infantry moved in. We fought from staircases, rooftops, windows, alleys, and collapsed rooms. We continued winning many individual gunfights, but we could not stop the combined assault. One by one, the weaker objectives were overrun. Our surviving operators fell back toward the strongest war zone, controlled zones. Battlefield now controlled more of the map. We still led in kills, but the territory was disappearing. Most of our remaining troops gathered around heavily defended capture zones. We turned buildings into fortresses. Mines were placed near entrances. C4 charges were hidden along roads. Snipers watched the surrounding rooftops. Maps blocked narrow approaches. Squads divided their responsibilities and communicated through proximity chat. When battlefield infantry attempted to enter those zones, we destroyed them. The closer they moved, the more dangerous the attack became. Entire battlefield assault groups were wiped out before reaching the objectives. Their surviving soldiers retreated. Some regrouped. Others searched for flanking routes. For a brief moment, our defensive lines held, but battlefield stopped attacking us directly. Instead, they surrounded us. Heavy land vehicles and aircraft remained outside our defenses and attacked from a distance. Tanks shelled the buildings. Helicopters targeted rooftops and windows. Jets struck equipment positions. The enemy was no longer attempting to capture our zones immediately. They intended to wear us down. The method worked. Every explosion destroyed another section of cover. Every tank shell forced us to use more armor. Every aircraft attack consumed ammunition and rockets. Our resources were disappearing faster than we could replace them. We answered with everything we had. UAVs filled the sky. Counter UAVs blinded the enemy. Precision airstrikes hit armored formations. Cluster strikes covered major roads. Bunker busters destroyed tanks and groups of infantry. Our snipers continued targeting pilots. Our rocket teams fired from damaged buildings and underground entrances. For several minutes, the airspace became the most violent part of the battle. Aircraft fell from the sky. Tanks burned in the streets. Entire infantry formations disappeared beneath explosions. Battlefield responded by deploying mobile anti-air vehicles, missile interceptors, engineers, and more launchers. Once again, they adapted. By the 80th minute, we controlled only a few objectives. Battlefield held most of the map. Our remaining control zones were powerful, but isolated. Our resources had become scarce. Ammunition was rationed. Armor plates were saved for incoming assaults. Explosives were used only against vehicles. Killstreaks were reserved for emergencies. Buy stations offered fewer useful resources, and several had become too dangerous to reach. Our respawn times continued increasing. Every dead operator left another gap in the defensive line. Small battles still occurred throughout the map, but many ended quickly. Isolated Warzone operators often lacked the equipment needed to survive a prolonged fight. Yet we continued recording kills. Even while surrounded, we remained dangerous. Battlefield soldiers who entered buildings alone rarely survived. Vehicle crews who moved too close were attacked with explosives. Pilots who flew too low risked being shot from their cockpits. We still led the kill count, but kills could not rebuild our defenses. As the battle approached its final 30 minutes, most of us understood what was happening. We had killed more enemy soldiers. We had won countless infantry engagements. We had destroyed tanks, helicopters, jets, and armored transports. But Battlefield had captured the roads, waterways, headquarters sectors, and most of the objectives. Their military system had outlasted our economy. Their support players returned downed soldiers to combat. Their consistent respawns maintained pressure. Their vehicles protected infantry advances. Their destruction changed the map faster than we could defend it. Our surviving zones had become islands surrounded by battlefield territory. There was no longer a realistic path to total map control. Some operators continued defending the remaining objectives. Others stopped fighting for territory. They hunted kills. During the final minutes, several Warzone squads abandoned their fortified zones and moved into enemy territory. They knew the battle was almost over. They used their remaining armor, ammunition, and killstreaks in one final attack. Some ambushed battlefield squads moving between objectives. Others attacked vehicles with C4 and launchers. Snipers targeted pilots and distant infantry. Operators parachuted into dangerous locations without expecting to return. The goal had changed. They were no longer trying to win the map. They were trying to take as many battlefield soldiers with them as possible. Those of us who remained behind defended the final capture zones. We watched tanks approach through smoke. Filled streets, we heard jets pass overhead. We felt the buildings shake as shells struck the exterior. The battlefield forces attacked again, and we fought until the final second. At exactly 2 hours, the battle ended. Battlefield controlled most of the map. They held the majority of the objectives, roadways, waterways, and strategic positions. We still held the higher kill count. Our operators had proven faster and more effective in direct infantry engagements. We had adapted to their vehicles, countered their aircraft, survived the destruction of the environment, and defended our strongest positions against overwhelming attacks. But the battle had never been decided by kills alone. It had been decided by territory. Battlefield had entered the fight fully equipped. They had maintained consistent respawn. They had used tanks, aircraft, engineers, recon troops, and support soldiers as one combined military force. We had entered with pistols and built our strength from whatever we could find. For 2 hours we had fought, looted, adapted, purchased, redeployed, and survived. But eventually, our resources had run out. We had won more gunfights. Battlefield had won the war. As the final announcement echoed across the map, the remaining gunfire faded. The objectives were locked. The surviving soldiers stopped moving, and the result appeared before us. Battlefield victory. Map secured.